Here.
Governor Lidecker, Governor Mateer, Governor Oliva, Governor Dunn,
Here.
Governor Szilagyi, and Governor Renner. We have a quorum.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you. So I'm going to dive right in. First of all, as we open up the board meetings, customary, Chair Busani and President Hasner, thank you. As usual, hospitality is fantastic. It's really nice to be back on FAU's campus. And so thank you for doing it. And I think, is this your first board meeting besides being at other ones? You've been here before, so you know it's old. It's second. Number two, it's good to have you here, be here with you. So thanks for hosting. I'm going to, one housekeeping item. We did remove the Academic and Research Excellence Committee from our agenda. We will bring that back in our next scheduled meeting. So there were no action items that we needed to take up immediately. So we ran out of time. We will bring it up in the next meeting. Is that okay?
Great.
All right, excellent. With that, we will begin the full board meeting commemorating our system's success for the past 9 years. Take a look at the video. Well, how about that? 9 years in a row, ranked number one as a state university system in this great nation. I think that deserves a round of applause. So a couple things. I mean, the video was quick, but I think what's important is the trajectory of the SUS. You've heard it a number of times today, is quite impressive, from performance-based funding to some of the incredible research. I remember Vice Chair Levine, when you set the aspirational goal of $3 billion in research, a few of us thought that was quite crazy. And look at us now. And so it's great to see the progress.
That's not the only reason he thought it was crazy.
I didn't want to go there, but you know, it's each and every institution has been able to contribute to this progress. You can also hear the competitiveness of this board, where we're not done, right? Like, we still have a lot of opportunity in the system, in performance, student success, faculty excellence, operational excellence. So there's a lot to be proud of, but we should all kind of also be a bit restless that the job's not done. And so I'm proud to be a part of it. Look, I think us moving up in graduation rates to number one, we were number two for a number of years, and finally broke into the number one spot in the nation for graduation rates. That's quite impressive. And you already heard we still have work to do there. Lowest tuition and fees, we've held that spot. That's fantastic. We're going to do our very best to continue to hold down that spot, particularly for our in-state students. It's quite essential. There was a lot of other things in that video and throughout the day, but I thought it'd be interesting if I just pause for a second. On the board agenda, we've got some important confirmations and topics to cover. So I just wanted to highlight some of the institutions that are up for confirmation today. If I think about FAMU, you heard a number of times the progress that FAMU has made around student success, research, funding. The trajectory is quite exciting. There is no doubt we can point to areas where we need to get better, but it's worth pausing and celebrating what's happening on the Hill. The Orange and Green have got a lot to be excited about and a lot to be thinking about with regards to the future. And I'm going to do my part to try to protect that rich tradition. Okay. And so thank you and congratulations for the work that you've done at FAMU. FIU, I mean, just a skyrocket of success over the last few years, of course, becoming preeminent in the state of Florida, but that's just not it. I mean, there's a number of other benchmarks that are fascinating in terms of the trajectory, and I have no doubt that that would continue. So I'm very proud of what we've seen from Florida International University over the last few years. In many respects, nationally, you're leading the way in terms of the trajectory. So this is a fantastic time to be at Florida International. You heard about UWF a little earlier. I mean, you know, breaking into the top 3 in our performance-based funding is a heck of a story. I think if you look at kind of where UWF was 5-10 years ago, where it is today, and I know there are pretty ambitious goals at the board level. Rebecca, good to see you. Thank you for being here. And so as you think about the decisions that we're going to make around confirmation, this is a fantastic time for UWF, and I think there's a lot more opportunity in terms of where you aspire to be. And then lastly, our host, FAU. You know, I thought what was important there is most recently your R1 designation. Now that's academic speak. The fact of the matter is a testament to the quality of education and research that you are delivering with your faculty here at FAU. It's outstanding. It's a really important recognition. I know FAMU also was recognized by Carnegie most recently as R2 in their progress. These are the details. I'll be real blunt. These are the details that don't get enough print in the headlines, right? The performance of the SUS, the facts, the research, the student success, and the economic impact. 51 billion. As a matter of fact, that's actually a little old. You know, the University of Florida is helping us relook at what the economic impact across the state of Florida is for the state university system. I got a funny feeling it's going to be much more than 51 billion. Okay. And so I think it's important that the BOG, and particularly I, have a responsibility to shine a light on what's good about the state university system and what's working well in some of our outstanding institutions. University of South Florida had a record gift, transformational gift, in fact, thinking about where we're going in AI and cybersecurity and computing. It's a big deal. That's exciting when you think about the trajectory. You just broke ground on an on-campus stadium. That's been a long time coming, President Law, so congratulations on that. So my point being, I know we have a lot of debate and civil discourse at the BOG. I think in many regards, it's a good example of what I would expect to happen at the other trustee boards as well. The ability to debate and lock arms and form a strong view and march the university forward. It's equally as important that we shine a light on what you all are doing well. And I know a lot of my media friends are here. Glad you're here. Do me a favor, talk about some of the things that we're doing exceptionally well in this great state. Shine a bright light on that. Happy to answer questions on that. It would be really ideal. And so I'm happy to kick this off. We're going to dive into the agenda. Next up, I'm going to go to public comment. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to the Chancellor's report, and then I will move to public comment.
Governor Lamb, can I just make one comment? I just want to thank all the presenters who had their time cut short because Governor Levine took so long in his committee meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I had help.
You did. You did. You did. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. We got a great board. Okay, Chancellor, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to just touch on 2 items. I'm going to be brief in my remarks. The first is the budget, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's not final yet. It's undergoing gubernatorial review, and at our next meeting, we'll have a discussion. But at a high level, the budget that was passed was smaller than the budget that was passed last year, over $3 billion less in the total budget. Within the higher education portion of that budget, we had a reduction of just under 120 million, largely driven by the elimination of the 100 million performance-based funding recruitment and retention fund. And there was also reduced operational enhancement. We were warned at the conclusion of last year that the current budget would be less. And we were also warned that there would be less recurring revenue. I think if you looked at the sprinkle list in both the House and Senate, it bore that out, and that 95% of the sprinkle list were non-recurring dollars. The legislature was very clear on the path that they were going down and let us know, and then that's the path they went down. Ultimately, the budget that's been passed is definitely a budget that positions Florida for the future. There was a $1.3 billion tax reduction. Debt was paid down in terms of $230 million in bonds paid off early, and another $250 million going forward has been set aside to pay down debt. And then on top of that, $750 million were placed into reserves for the Budget Stabilization Fund to prepare us for the rainy days that are coming. So our legislature demonstrated, I believe, a very fiscally disciplined approach. And after the gubernatorial review is completed and the vetoes are issued and the budget is signed, we'll do a more detailed review of the budget at our next meeting. The next item I'd like to touch on would be efficiencies within our state university system. In 2019, legislation that was passed required the Board of Governors to begin tracking and reporting FTE in administration. Looking at the data that goes back to fiscal year 20, we know that over the last 5 years, our system has had 1% growth in administrative FTE efforts. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has reported an annual 3% growth in higher education administration. So we have known that our state university system has shown more restraint than the higher education sector has nationally. Our challenge has been is that there's no national benchmark that we could take and compare ourselves to demonstrate our efficiency. This past spring, economist Preston Cooper, who is a senior fellow with the American Enterprise Institute and holds a PhD in economics, whose work has previously been published in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, Forbes, and Fortune, among other publications, published a review that he did. He took all of the data that universities report to the U.S. Department of Education, went into the iPads, and analyzed all of the employees, and then calculated the number of administrators by category. He then applied that number to student enrollment, and he yielded an administrator per 1,000 students. And I think the results bore out what we have long expected and look very well for our system. The largest concentration of administrators per 1,000 students is in the Ivy League, the Ivy Plus, and major flagship institutions such as UCLA, University of Michigan, the Ohio State University, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, University of Wisconsin-Madison, University of Texas, Austin. They average about 160 administrators per 1,000 students. The national average is 71 administrators per 1,000 students. And as a system, the State University System of Florida comes in at 62 administrators per 1,000 students. We are substantially below the national average and the highest category that has the most administrative bloat. I believe we can be proud of the efficiencies of our institutions. I think now we actually have a national benchmark that we can cite to demonstrate it. And I want to commend our institutions for the great work they're doing in this area and encourage them to continue to drive improvement. And those conclude my remarks.
Chancellor, thank you. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving along. Rachel, public comment.
Yes, sir. We have 18 members of the public who wish to offer comment. A maximum of 15 minutes is reserved for public comment. Accordingly, the first 15 members of the public in attendance will each have 1 minute to provide public comment on an item that's on our agenda. For a member of the public who appeared and complied with appearance requirements set forth on our pursuant to our procedures, but was unable to provide a public comment at the podium due to time constraints can still submit a written response to me or comment to me contemporaneous with today's meeting. So with that, the first member of the
Mr. Chairman, could I suggest that 3 people who made the effort to come here, that we give them the 3 minutes so they can each make their 1 minute rather than sending them back without public comment? It's 3 people over the 15 minutes. I know we're trying to move crisply, but it's 3 minutes.
It's not moving crisp, it's being consistent. Right? We have public comment and we have regulations. So I just am very disinterested in setting precedent. We didn't do that for the University of Florida a few weeks ago when they had a much longer list of public comment. And so my ask is that we just try to stay true and consistent. I'm very glad everyone's here. We're absolutely going to make public comments available
to the board members. That's right.
to all the board members. So I prefer that we don't like start creating new precedent. We haven't done it for any other university. And I love every institution here as much as everyone else wants to talk about. But I ask that we try our best to stay true to what we said we do. And we've got the board chair, we've got all of the confirmation candidates. So you're right, Eric, I hate to see, but we've had much longer lines than 18 and not done it. I totally get it, buddy. Thank you. I think it's good. We'll give that some further thought. Let's
Thank
keep going.
Okay, Miss Chiquisha Kidd, if you can please approach the podium. And after Miss Kidd, if Mr. Greg Perkins can please approach the podium. Miss Kidd, you have 1 minute. You may begin.
Good afternoon, governors. In an 8-4 vote, FAMU trustees, largely appointed by this body, failed FAMU. Under their watch, we've endured NCAA violations, uninhabitable dorms, donor breaches, systemic financial and operational issues you just heard in the audit results, and now a 40% over budget compensation package to install a president-elect with no higher ed or corporate leadership experience to speak of. Someone who has never run a division, led a large team, or managed a P&L. This is not excellence, it is negligence. So I have to ask, why this candidate and why now? Simply put, this was not a merit-based search. Trustee Ellison, who's here today, who called for transparency in the search, was removed within days. Other trustees have blatant conflicts of interest, with one reportedly cutting a backroom deal for a new job. Meanwhile, FAMU remains $1.9 billion behind in land grant funding, with enrollment caps and frozen tuition limiting our revenue. This board must do better. Reject this appointment, remove conflicted trustees, and appoint replacements that are qualified, principled, and independent with FAMU first in mind. We will not go back to 1998 to Tier 3
Thank
status.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That's your minute. Okay, Mr. Perkins. Okay.
Well, my name is Greg Perkins, FAMU class of '89. Brian Lamb was actually my student. I was his teacher in high school. Smart young man. I'm so proud of him. One of the reasons I oppose the current appointment of the next president of Florida A&M University, when I was a student at FAMU, I almost went back home to work in the sugarcane fields at Moorhaven. One of my professors said, no, I'll find you the help that you need. As a result of that, I ended up getting a bachelor's and master's from FAMU, okay? So I oppose this. And guys, it's perception. Can you please guarantee there'll be no merger between FSU and FAMU? None of our academic programs will be transferred to FSU, and that you will continue to help African-American students. I'm open to working with anybody, but I oppose this. I want to learn. I want to grow and learn, and I hope I can reach out to members of the board so that we can make sure that our students are still served. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll next hear from Kimberly Godwin and then Harold Ford. Kimberly Godwin and then Harold Ford. Okay, Ms. Godwin, you have 1 minute. You may begin.
Good afternoon, board. I implore you to open your hearts and minds to FAMU stakeholders. To date, we do not feel heard. Marva Johnson is not ready to lead the nation's #1 public HBCU. Ms. Johnson did not earn this. She does not have the best resume. She did not have a good on-campus interview. She appeared unprepared and short-sighted and did not present well to our stakeholders. She had the opportunity but failed to win the support of any stakeholder group. These are facts. Imagine if this happened at any other state university here in Florida. She would not be here today. No one would stand for it, and neither will we. We applaud the 4 trustees, including our chair, who stood for their constituents. We are shocked that 8 members of our board of trustees are so grossly misguided. Many of us are ashamed of them. Some have been so arrogant as to call our concerns nonsense. And then you look at our financial audit, and they want to break the bank to pay
Thank you,
this
ma'am.
unqualified candidate $1 million a year.
Thank you, ma'am. That's your time. If we could have Mr. Harold Ford approach the podium and then Jono Miller. Mr. Ford, you have 1 minute.
Good afternoon. I rise today not out of routine, but out of righteous resistance. To sound the alarm against what has become a coordinated campaign of cultural erasure in educational instruction in the state of Florida. From book bans to the blatant rejection of law school curricula like critical race theory, from gutting of public education to now sabotaging higher education. The attacks on learning in this state are not just policy choices, they have become political weaponization. And let's be clear, these actions disproportionately target Black students, Black history, and now Black education institutions. Florida's attacks on public education have been newsworthy and noteworthy. In a state that proudly boasts of sunshine laws, you have chosen to cast a shadow over sunlight. Decisions are being made in the dark, behind closed doors, and without community input. The public has been pushed out of the process we as taxpayers fund, support, and rely on. Florida's institutions belong to the public, not to political puppets or backroom deals. The process of selecting the next president for FAMU has been deeply disrespected and dishonored. It is unacceptable and unconscionable. And
Thank you, sir.
An unqualified candidate was delegated to the finals.
Thank you, sir. That's your time. Mr.
Thank you.
Jono Miller, if you can approach. And then after Mr. Miller, we'll have Devin Nobles. You have 1 minute, sir.
The New College 25 mission statement has language that was specifically stricken by a previous Board of Trustees motion. New College already has a legislatively adopted mission statement, one without religious overtones. We don't need 2. Not long ago, our metric 4 graduation rates had 5 cohorts, averaging over 55%, and ending 22 plan exceeded its goal of 57%. The new administration failed to meet its first ending 23 target by nearly 6 points. They then lowered the ending 24 cohort goal by 9 and failed to meet that. It's below 50%. The former 66% goal for ending 25 is now set at 40%. Despite scholarships and scoring for athletes, new improved college is backsliding. In addition to metric 4, it's regressing on Pell metric 9B, lowering expectations for 3 other metrics. Lowering admission standards 14 points for top 10 freshmen does not bode well. Failing New College posted better performance metrics at far less cost. Why? And why isn't the BOG doing more to address this? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll next hear from Devin Nobles, and after that, Gabriel Albert. You
Good
have 1
afternoon,
minute.
everybody. I am Devin Nobles Jr. I'm a computer engineering student at Florida A&M University. Myself and my fellow student rallies are here today to come and talk to you all. We've traveled all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, to make sure we had the opportunity to voice our concerns. And as students, as primary stakeholders in this university, we are very concerned about the future of our university. The candidate does not meet the qualifications as set before us by our own presidential search committee. Our entire process has been riddled with impropriety. This is ridiculous. Governor Tim Serio, as a former student regent on the Board of Regents, we understand, and we know that you understand, the invaluable resources of our students' voices. So please, we are students here today talking to you. Listen to us and to everybody else on the Board of Governors. If you guys confirm this candidate right here, it is to reaffirm all of us, to all of us, our students, our faculty, our staff, alumni, the 18,000 people that signed a petition online, that our voices do not matter. That when we stand up and we speak in the meetings that you give us, that it doesn't matter. So we have all these people here today to tell you guys to vote against the confirmation, because it would be very irresponsible.
That's your time. If Mr. Gabriel Albert can
Thank you.
approach the podium, and then Mike Sanderson to follow. Ms. Gabrielle, you have 1 minute.
Good afternoon. I'm Gabrielle Albert, And I'm calling on this board to exercise duty of care and financial and fiduciary responsibility, something that the Board of Trustees did not do for Florida A&M. These decisions today were made in politics, not for the best interest of our school. Today, FAMU was lauded for having the highest SUS score in history we've had. That was done by a lifetime educator and practitioner, Timothy Beard. You were also criticized for our audits and our results. And one of those things that are making us better was actually implemented by one of our own candidates, Dr. Donald Palm, who has financial expertise and put in the ERP system. We also had another candidate, CFO Hector from UCF, which is the largest SUS state school. And instead, you guys are coming here to say that a federal lobbyist is best in charge of our school when we need financial oversight. Federal lobbyists don't even own P&Ls. And so with that, and then worse on top of that, you're making a recommendation to do this with a 40% over budget when we were criticized.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll next hear from Mike Sanderson. And after Mike Sanderson, we'll hear from Gwinnell Mingo. Mike, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm Mike Sanderson. I entered Duke College in 1999. Documents I mentioned are available at mikesands.com. It was only in the accountability plan 2 years ago in 2023 that we learned about the success that former President Oker had achieved in only 1 year by fall 2022. In the 2 years since, GPA down, SAT down, class rank down, enrollment increases are overwhelmingly transfer students, and Corcoran keeps his numbers up by giving tax-funded scholarships to out-of-state and international students. Instead of applying scrutiny, you let Corcoran filibuster, blah, blah, Williams, Amherst, startup, incredible growth, blah, blah, until he's run out of time and you've forgotten even what the question was. Governor Levine, you mentioned the legislature like they gave a blank check. Have you forgotten the budget proviso for the Board of Governors to provide them with oversight specifically about new college spending? My latest, most colorful submission is evidence and questions on the role in the UF presidential selection about alumnus Bob Allen. Anyone can make a records request. Documents are at mikesan.com. I wish I had more time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll now hear from Gwinnell Mingo, and after that, Iana Bridges. Mr. Mingo, you have.
Yeah, my name is Gwenwood W. Mingo. I'm a 1962 graduate of FAMU and a 1984 graduate with a PhD from the University of Florida. I stand here today to urge you not to let politics rule in the selection of this president for FAMU. It's not time to place a lobbyist with a K-12 political experience, but no higher education experience at the head of FAMU. I personally question Ms. Johnson's qualification for the president of FAMU with the ties to Governor DeSantis, which reflects commitment that do not align with the mission and values of FAMU. It appears to me that the presidential nomination was received by you was a result of a search that did not follow strong, transparent practices and procedures, but instead seemed to have been the result of background deals for personal advancement. It can also be argued that politics and not merit was why FAMU Board of Trustees sent Marva Johnson to you. And it is troubling to me to see the reputation of Florida's institution of higher education being called into question.
Thank you, sir. That's your time.
Thank you.
Can we please hear from Iana Bridges, followed by Serenity Newsom? You have 1 minute.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Iana Bridges. I'm a rising sophomore studying at Florida A&M University. I stand before you today as a concerned student and a proud Rattler. As a first-generation college student, FAMU changed my life. I was introduced to this university through former President Larry Robinson's presidential tour. And through this tour, I got to look into FAMU and the programs that it has to offer. As a student that didn't have access to college tours, the university coming to somewhere local to me provided me clear expectation of what I'd be getting becoming a Rattler. Being on the Hill, I now understand the role recruitment plays in longevity of our university. When asked about her plans for recruitment during a student Q&A, the candidate gave a vague response to expand outreach and leverage digital platforms to tell the university story. However, not having a comprehensive plan onto how to expand recruitment efforts is concerning as a student. With this, I'm in opposition of the election of Marva Johnson as the 13th president of Florida A&M, and I ask that you all vote against her confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Serenity Newsom, followed by Brianna Dudley. You begin.
As a sophomore College of Education English education scholar and a first-generation student with the dream of obtaining my PhD one day to serve FAMU in an educational leadership capacity, I am currently learning the standards for higher educational leadership and the importance of experience in the realm. The requirements outlined by the Presidential Search Committee are a terminal degree, having combined experience in research and D1 athletic programs coordination and educational leadership experience. Considering Johnson's only satisfying one of the three of the presidential qualifications, the proposed compensation salary is disrespectful to the financial necessities of our university and presidential leadership who precede her, who in comparison average a $500,000 salary by the end of their term. FAMU is the #1 public HBCU in the nation. Despite our weaknesses that you have all outlined today, we are expected to produce qualified, committed, and experienced professionals, which prompts the question of how could a candidate that does not meet the expectations uphold them for the university while not being qualified or connected with the students and alumni who
Thank
make
you, ma'am.
FAMU what it.
That's your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please hear from Brianna Dudley and then Kristen Hood?
Greetings, I am Brianna Dudley, a rising second-year criminal justice scholar at Florida A&M University. A significant reason why I chose FAMU was the Board of Trustees academic policy, which stated Florida A&M University is committed to academic honesty and its core values, which include scholarship, excellence, accountability, integrity, fairness, respect, and ethics. The election of Marva Johnson goes against most, if not all, of these core values. Marva Johnson decided to ask for a base pay salary of $650,000, a price that does not accurately reflect her experience or the requirements needed to lead a university. This salary not only greatly exceeds what any president has asked for while simultaneously exceeding the bounds of FAMU Foundation budget, but will also be detrimental to the university as it would grossly allocate funds needed for multiple student serving programs that help shape FAMU and its students, and will be a breach of fiduciary of the Board of Trustees and the Board of Governors that's elected. Governor Edge just mentioned that audit finding issues at UF were partly because they were overpaying salaries, which included that of the president. Because you already see how this is an issue, work to avoid the same problem at FAMU. The most reasonable solution would be to oppose this confirmation as it would condemn us into financial uncertainty. You claim to work for the best interest of education,
Thank you,
but you
ma'am.
refuse to listen to.
Thank you. That's your time. Kristen Hood, and then we'll hear from Angelo Petty. You have 1 minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kristen Hood, a rising broadcast journalism student entering her 3rd year at Florida A&M University, and I stand before you today as a concerned student and member of the Tallahassee community. As a student who graduated from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University Developmental Research School, also known as FAMU High, before I even started my collegiate journey, I knew the legacy and tenacity within FAMU's history and understood the standard and excellence required to wear the Rattler seal. The fiduciary duty of the FAMU Board of Trustees is threefold: loyalty to the mission of our institution, care and decision-making with the best interests of our students, and obedience to the values and laws that guide public higher education. This requires valuing advancement of the mission of FAMU over external political influence or personal conflicts. The 2025 presidential search process was meant to hold its stakeholders' interests to the highest regard. Yet, the advancement of a candidate with unrealistic salary requests that far exceed the contractual norms.
Thank you, ma'am. That's your time. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
The final member of the public that will be permitted to offer comment is Angelo Petty. Angelo, you have 1 minute.
Good morning. Angelo Pettis, proud 1995 graduate of FAMU School of Business and Industry. I appreciate some of the straight talk we've heard today about some of FAMU's struggles. And in that same vein of straight talk, how many of you would want this individual whose stunning disqualifications or lack of qualifications, would you want to have her lead your school? How many of you? Exactly. So I can't decide if her appointment is politically motivated, gross negligence on the part of the board, or just you guys wanting to get rid of FAMU altogether. Maybe it's a combination of the three. This election is an embarrassment, but seeing as how the bar is so low, I'd like to consider myself. If you want to appoint me, I gladly come out of retirement and try to lead FAMU myself. Look, we get it. Most of you don't care about FAMU. Most of you have not cared about our existence since we've been around. We came into existence because we could not go to school in other places. And I am not going to sit around and just allow FAMU to be degraded and have someone lead our university that is wholly unqualified. So honestly, I don't have the confidence necessarily that you guys are going to listen to our impassioned pleas, but I can tell you this. We will continue to oppose her opposition, and we will continue
Thank you, sir. That concludes our first 15 members of the public offering comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thanks everyone for the public comment. It's important. You know, it's customary in our board meeting to have 15 minutes of public comment. We take all of the written comments that you would submit. So if you didn't get a chance to be on the microphone, you absolutely have an opportunity to share your voice. And we do read and look at it, and I'll make sure the board has all the information. I'm going to move us to the next agenda item. Next item on the agenda is Moffitt's request to create a limited liability company. Mr. Fletcher, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Lamb. I appreciate you all taking time to hear our request today. My name is Chip Fletcher. I'm the General Counsel at Moffitt Cancer Center. I'd also like to thank the members of the Board of Governors who have been part of our governance at Moffitt. Governor Jones, who's a BOG representative, present on the Moffitt Board of Directors, Governor Bell Burnett, who's on our foundation board, and Governor Levine, who previously served as the BOG representative on the Moffitt Cancer Center board. So thank you all for your time and considered support for the Cancer Center. We're here today before you to request creation of two new subsidiaries. Moffitt Cancer Center was established by the state legislature for the purpose of being a resource for basic and clinical research and multidisciplinary approaches to patient care throughout the state of Florida. Under our governing statute, we can create for-profit or nonprofit subsidiaries, but only with the prior approval of the Board of Governors. So we come here today to ask for approval of two new limited liability companies, one being a holding company and one being an operating company. And the purpose is to incubate, develop, and commercialize digital intellectual property and related inventions. Moffitt Cancer Center's had a long history of leadership internationally in mathematical oncology. That's a field where mathematicians use data and other information related to cancer care to improve patient care, particularly in personalized care and identifying the most precise type of care for the individual patient. And between that area and related areas of data science, we've developed some intellectual property in different areas. We'd like to find a way to incubate, develop, and commercialize to extend the reach of the Cancer Center outside of our direct patient care environment, diversify revenues, hopefully developing products and services that we can market and develop alternative sources of revenue. And then also, Moffitt is a nonprofit. We're created by the state, but we're a nonprofit corporation. And so by creating these for-profit companies, we will protect the tax-exempt status of the nonprofit parent system by making sure that any of the activities that aren't clearly within the tax-exempt charitable activities allowed under our tax-exempt status occur in these for-profit subsidiaries and not within the nonprofit system. So, so we come here today to ask for that approval. Our Moffitt Board of Directors approved this in May unanimously, and I would appreciate your support and favorable consideration today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Fletcher, always a pleasure to see you. First of all, thank you. And for those that are not intimately knowledgeable of Moffitt, it is a national treasure for us. It's a fantastic place. So I will see if there's any discussion by the board. If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the presentation as approved, or as provided.
Second.
It's been moved by Governor Jones, second by Governor Bell Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Chip, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Not unusual. We have a couple of folks that have worked really hard with the Board of Governors and in the state university system, and I tend to, with my board's support and blessing, recognize them with resolutions. And so I have a few that I will briefly read remarks and then just see if my colleagues on the board have any comments. I want to start with our UWF president, Martha Saunders. Is Martha on Zoom, by the way?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Excellent.
We'll get her queued up here.
Okay, get Martha queued up. She deserves it. If you don't know Martha, she is a force of nature, incredible human being and leader in higher education. Frankly, a good friend. She served as the UWF president since 2017. But if I'm not mistaken, in my conversation with Martha, I think she's been serving UWF for over 30 years. And so she's put in the work and deserves her time and her flowers, as folks would say. She will continue to serve UWF with grace and excellence as a faculty member and carry the honor of President Emeritus. President Saunders, thank you for everything that you've done. If we get you queued up, happy to give you the floor.
Thank you for this recognition. Hope you can hear me. As I have said many times, my work at UWF has been a labor of love. It's a good time to be UWF. And I look forward to see what's going to happen next. And I'm glad I'm going to be around to help.
Absolutely, Martha. We can hear you, and congratulations on this milestone, and we wish you the best, and I'm sure we will see you soon. I will keep us moving and recognize another colleague that is not here today, I don't think. Maybe she's on Zoom.
She's on Zoom.
Okay, excellent. Governor Amanda Phelan, who many of you have gotten to know serving on the Board of Governors. I think she did an outstanding job representing faculty for the years that she was on the board. We developed an outstanding relationship, and she obviously is a faculty at the University of Florida, but played a pivotal role serving on the Board of Governors for many years. And so, Amanda, we'll miss you, but we also truly appreciate the service and know you're off to bigger and better things. So, Amanda, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair Lamb. It's really been my honor to serve on this body and to advance the interests of our great state university system for the benefit of all Floridians, really for the nation and the world. I think the greatest joy that I've had, though, is getting a chance to meet, work with, and become such close friends and colleagues with my faculty across the state university system. The reason why we have such a fantastic state university system that has carried through recessions, through pandemics, and any other crisis that you can think of is because of our faculty, our staff, and our students. We are the heart of our university system, and I just want to wish the best to my colleague, Dr. Kim Dunn, as she takes over. She's fantastic. She's going to do a great job, and I can't wait to see the work that all of you all do together with faculty to make our system even better than it already is. Thanks.
Thank you, Governor Phelan. Great to see you. It's good timing because I want to segue to someone else that was serving alongside you during your time on the BOG, and that's Governor John Brinkman. John, it's good to see you on the screen. We had a lot of fun together, and I hope in your journey as a student, when you look back, that I hope the BOG time is one of your more memorable times as a student. I thought you did a fantastic job representing your university and your entire student body constituency. So, John, congratulations. We obviously have a resolution to recognize you, but more importantly, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Lamb, and thank you so much for this recognition. It's really great to be with you all virtually. Serving on this board has been such a pleasure and a great professional experience, like you just said. I really enjoyed getting to know everyone on the Board of Governors and getting able to meet everyone on the BOG staff and getting able to understand really the important work that they do for our university system. And I also wanted to shout out quickly, Governor Dale, you all will be in great hands with him. I hope you take the time to get to meet him and hear a little bit more about his thoughts and what he thinks that the students of the state university system need. So I just wanted to thank you all so much for this recognition. It's really been a great past year. Thank you.
John, I agree with you. I think Governor Dale's going to do a fantastic job. We are obviously thinking about him as he's abroad, but he's got big shoes to fill, buddy. So can everyone please just, one more. Hold on before we do that. One more. FIU Chair Roger Tovar. Many of you have had a chance to get to know Roger personally and professionally. He has been on the board for a number of years at FIU and is also an FIU alum, was on the board since 2018. And I think he did a fantastic job. And, you know, he's not able to be here today, but Roger is quite busy, and he made time for the BOG. I felt like we got to know him. I think he led from the front. He was obviously part of an outstanding board that helped usher FIU into preeminence, along with a number of other great accomplishments. And so, you know, please join me in celebrating Roger Tovar. I will pause, even though he's not here, and recognize President-elect Nunez to say a few words.
Certainly will. On behalf of former Chair Tovar, he asked me to extend his appreciation for this recognition. He is out of the country. Otherwise, he would have loved to have been here. But he does appreciate all of the investments and time that he made, and certainly wanted to thank you all for all the support you gave him over the years. And I know as now Chair Duarte takes over the reins, he himself recognizes he has big shoes to fill, but we're confident that we'll continue to thrive.
Chair Duarte, it's great to have you, by the way. I know you are super engaged and always have been, and so it's great to have you at the table. Please join me in celebrating for all of their work, the folks that we have recognized with resolutions that have just done an outstanding job of public service. We'll just do one good old-fashioned round of applause. Thank you.
We'll take
Okay,
motion to approve the
we need to make a
resolutions.
motion. Can I have a motion to accept the resolutions for all the
So moved.
nominees? It's been moved by Governor Dunn, second by Governor Szilagyi. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Pose like sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to dive in. We're going to move into confirmations of presidents. We have a number of them. I'm going to ask that we all be judicious in our conversations and give the BOG members an opportunity for conversation and question. I'm going to start with Florida International University, confirmation of FIU President-elect Jeanette Nunez. We will start, of course, with the FIU Board Chair. So, Carlos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Lamb, members of the Board of Governors. I look forward to really working with you all in the future, much as Roger did, and getting to know you better. For the past 17 years, since I am the new guy, a little bit of brief history. For the last 17 years, I've served in various roles at FIU. The last 4 serving as trustee, and the last 2 of those 4 as vice chair of the trustees. Last week, I was honored and humbled to have been elected as chair, a responsibility that I take very seriously. And the reason I say that is that being able to serve FIU has been one of the greatest privileges I've had, and also a source of happiness of my life. I know personally the impact that FIU has not only on its students, but their families and for generations to come, from personal experience for what it did for me. Over 40 years ago, FIU gave my father the opportunity to finish his engineering degree after being exiled from Cuba. He did this during night school while having the 5 of us, 5 kids. He got his degree, ends up becoming an engineer for Miami-Dade County. My mother, 4 years later, follows in his footsteps. I think she graduated 2 years before I did, from high school or college, don't remember. She goes on to become a public school teacher for the next 25 years. This is the impact this university has. It is because of what FIU did for them that I stand here before you today. FIU not only changed my parents' lives, my siblings' lives, I see it today. It's changing the life of my family for generations to come. So I am honored to be here to represent FIU in the Board of Trustees as you consider the confirmation and the appointment of our 7th president, Ms. Jeanette Nunez. I had the privilege of serving as chair of the FIU Presidential Search Committee, and I want to publicly thank the committee members and our search consultant, Funk Associates, for their diligence and dedication to the search process. I also like to recognize Governor Oliva, who served as a member of the search committee. On June 2nd, 2025, the FIU Board of Trustees unanimously selected Ms. Nunez to serve as president following a thorough search process in accordance with Board of Governors Regulation 1.002. President-elect Nunez graduated from FIU in 1994 with a bachelor's degree in political science and international relations, and in 1998 earned a master's degree in public administration. She is yet another example of FIU's greatness and a testament of what's possible for our students and their families. Since her appointment as interim president in February, President-elect Nunez has worked tirelessly, focusing on improving the student experience, ensuring research excellence, and establishing and strengthening strategic partnerships. She has engaged with our students, our faculty, our staff, and our community, and I will tell you personally, she has gained the respect of all our administration. Before, and as many of you know, before coming back home to FIU, President-elect Nunez spent 15 years serving the state of Florida, both as a state representative and as the lieutenant governor. Throughout her career in public office, she has been the greatest champion of FIU. In our short 53-year history, FIU has exceeded expectations. FIU is preeminent. We're a top 50 public university with nearly 55,000 students, of which 50% are Pell Grant recipients. I was one of them. Over 330,000 alumni and over $300 million in research expenditures. I am confident that President Nunez will not only maintain our trajectory and excellence, but she is going to accelerate it. Your meeting materials includes the proposed employment agreement for President-elect Nunez in accordance with the Board of Governors Regulation 1.002. The employment agreement was reviewed by the Board of Governors General Counsel. As reflected in the agreement, President-elect Nunez's compensation is consistent with the search committee's recommendation as approved by our Board of Trustees. If I may, I would like to provide a couple of highlights of the agreement. First, that the agreement is for a 5-year term commencing upon confirmation of President-elect Nunez's presidency by you all, the Florida Board of Governors. Second, the agreement sets forth the financial and key performance terms consistent with the Board of Trustees' compensation range and includes an annual performance bonus structure that is aligned with the university's performance-based funding metrics and accountability plan. And third, the goals must be approved by the Board of Trustees and the President. I look forward to working with my colleagues on the Board of Trustees and President-elect Nunez as we continue to propel FIU. On behalf of the FIU Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to submit our formal recommendation to the Board of Governors to confirm President-elect Nunez as our 7th President of FIU.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President-elect, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Governors. It's an honor to be here. University presidents, distinguished guests, board chairs. I am truly humbled to be considered for confirmation by the Board of Governors today. As was stated by our chair, I have a long history with FIU. I was born and raised in Miami to 2 Cuban immigrants that came to this country fleeing communism. And I grew up a stone's throw away from FIU. I first stepped foot on campus in 1989 as a high school senior and got my first official summer job working in the registrar's office. Subsequent to that summer job, they apparently liked me enough to offer me the job following high school graduation. I went back. FIU was the only school I applied for because I knew that's where I wanted to be. I attended with my high school sweetheart, then college sweetheart, now husband of almost 30 years. And what I can tell you is that it absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. I earned an undergraduate degree in political science and international relations, never quite expecting to get into the world of politics, but be that as it may, I went and worked in the legislature as a legislative aide for many years, in both the House and the Senate. It was there where I developed my love for public policy, for public service. And after I obtained my master's degree in public administration, I then went into the healthcare world and had an opportunity to work at Jackson Memorial Hospital for about 9 years, heading up their government affairs. It was there where I developed my love for healthcare. And afterwards, I spent some time in the for-profit system. But it was that time in healthcare that really set the course of me running for public office. I decided to run in 2010 for a state house seat. I was honored to have been voted in by my constituents and spent 8 years serving the Florida House. I know many of my colleagues here have had similar experiences, and I can tell you that it was the honor of a lifetime to be able to champion issues and policies that are important, and many of them which are actually bearing fruit in the discussions that you all have had today. I served as chair of higher education and workforce alongside our excellent chancellor. We were side by side championing many of those issues. So when I finished my 8 years, I thought I was going to sail off into the sunset and leave my political career. But it was that summer before I termed out that I received a call from then Congressman DeSantis asking me to consider running alongside him in the ticket. I won't belabor the point. I ultimately decided to run. We got elected by the slimmest of margins, had just an incredible time serving alongside our great governor, working on issues, dealing with very important policy issues, especially during our first term when we were dealing with COVID. And then we got subsequently reelected by historic margins. What I can tell you is throughout every step of my career, both in the professional setting, in the public office setting, I have championed FIU. So the connection to FIU and the passion that I've had has been a lifetime, 4 decades worth. You will have found no bigger champion in the House, as I'm sure some of my former colleagues would attest. And as Lieutenant Governor, worked very closely side by side. So the connection, the passion, the dedication to FIU has been something that I'm very proud of. When you look at where FIU is today, it is a testament to the hard work of so many members, many of which are here, faculty, staff, people that have dedicated their lives to ensuring that FIU could become the youngest university that is recognized as preeminent, that we could be a top performing university. And I know many of you have talked about it today, and I just don't want to lose the moment because you've had many discussions, robust discussions on a number of topics. But for FIU to be #1 in performance funding, not only this year, but 3 consecutive years and 4 out of the last 5 years, that is a testament to many of the people that are sitting in this audience and many of the people back home that are watching. And I just want to publicly thank them because it is not easy to get to be #1, as I'm sure many of my colleagues here can attest. It is that much more difficult to sustain success. And that's something that FIU has been able to do. And when you look at FIU in the future, I'm excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish. We have laid out a bold strategic plan that puts us in the top 30 by 2030, growing our research enterprise, making sure that we are going to be the school of first choice, working side by side with all of our colleges to ensure that our centers of excellence continue to thrive. But our vision is clear and our future is bold. And I say that because I think about where we would be as a state if FIU didn't exist. Think about the lives that would have been impacted, the people that would not have been able to reach their educational pursuits, the companies that would not have come to Florida because of the vast amount of talent that we produce. Where would the Board of Governors be as a system in terms of our system-wide performance? And so I say this all with humility and with respect. And I think about where we started as an abandoned airfield in 1972. Our first president, Charles Perry, said that we had charted the beginning course for FIU, and only history will prove if we chose the correct route. He said at that time, we think we have. And I would just echo those comments. I'm humbled again to be here, excited to answer any questions that you might have, and I appreciate the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm going to open it up to the board. Questions, comments from the board? We will absolutely do that. I got one. I actually agree with your enthusiasm. Governor Dunn, I'll come to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nunez, for being here and for your interest in leading and being the next president of Florida International University. I'll limit my questions to just 2, and they're pretty straightforward, and I'll tell you both of them, and you can answer them together. First is, what area do you think will result in the steepest learning curve for you, and how do you plan to address moving up that learning curve very quickly? And the second one is, what is your role, what is your perception of the role at faculty at your institution, and how will you build trust with your faculty and work collaboratively with them in achieving the mission of FIU?
So if it's okay, Governor Dunn, I'll answer the second question first. In terms of collaborating with faculty, I can assure you that I have worked diligently, not only with our Faculty Senate President, member of our Board of Trustees, Trustee Berengo, who is here in the audience. He and I have met regularly. He has brought his concerns from the Faculty Senate to me. We have had a very cordial relationship. I have appeared before the Faculty Senate on more than one occasion. I've told them and I've pledged to them that I will always be open and honest, and we will likely not agree on all issues. And certainly that is the case, but I will always make time, always be accessible, and always be mindful of the concerns that faculty that they bring to me, and understanding the role of shared governance, understanding that they play a role in everything from continuous improvement and how we address the teaching experience and how that equates to student success. But Trustee Berengo was on the search committee, as was another faculty member. He also, of course, voted in favor of moving my nomination both at the search committee and at the full trustees meeting. So I hope that's a testament to my willingness to work closely with him. With regards to the first question, the steepest learning curve, I don't know that it's a learning curve per se, but what I would say is trying to break down some of the just institutional barriers of moving with the sense of urgency. I think oftentimes in academia, everything is slow. I think oftentimes we as a body tend to overthink things. So I'm coming at this with a sense of urgency. So I think trying to be able to balance that viewpoint and breaking down some of those institutional barriers, I think might be the biggest challenge. But certainly I appreciate the questions.
I'm going to come to Governor Serio.
President Nunez, we talked before in your first, when we confirmed you to be interim president, about, you know, you have reviewed and you do subscribe to the state university system statement of free expression. But I wanted to specifically ask, what would you do to, or ideas you've had, either what you've already done or what you would do to really enhance among student, faculty, and staff the idea of viewpoint diversity and engaging in civil discourse?
Thank you, Governor Serio, for that question. And yes, we did talk about this before, and I think we've discussed this many times. And I know many of my colleagues have talked about signing on to the Board of Governors Statement of Free Expression. I know every institution here also has a similar statement on their websites. And what I'll say from my perspective is I believe those opportunities are pivotal for our students in particular, to be able to hear diverse viewpoints, to be able to bring civility and debate, and to be able to expose, in particular our students, to those critical thinking opportunities, to figure out why they believe what they believe, to challenge those viewpoints. I think that is really the purpose of academics. And so to your question, one of the things that I'm proud to share with this group is that I have launched a presidential speaker series. And the goal of doing that is really to bring high level, whether they're titans of industry, renowned professors, and in some cases they will be diverse viewpoints, and bring those individuals to campus so that our students, our faculty, our staff, our community can hear from them. And this coming Friday, actually, we will be hosting Professor Robbie George and Professor Cornell West. I know many of you know them. I think you would all agree that you will be hard pressed to find two more ideologically different individuals, very, very different in their viewpoints, in their upbringing, in their background. But those are the types of examples that I want to bring to our students in particular. But I will say we are scrambling to find space because we've gotten so many RSVPs that we've actually had to find a bigger location to host them, because we've had over 1,000 RSVPs from students, faculty, staff, members of the community. And so it's an open invitation to any of you if you're in Miami and you want to come join us at 10 in the morning. And I will preview that we are hopefully going to host one of your own in a subsequent upcoming presidential speaker series. And your very own Governor Levine has graciously agreed to come and talk to our medical students, our nursing students, our business students, to give the perspective of someone that's been successful in a healthcare career. So thank you all for letting me share that with you. And I know it's a long-winded answer to your question, but I'm really excited about that opportunity on Friday.
Thank you.
It's great. I know, Governor Laudecker, you wanted to call for a motion. Are you still interested in doing so?
International.
Yeah. Just, Adam, settle down, settle down.
I don't think
We-
President Hasner is going to agree to that.
We love you, Adam. It's all good. The intent of the motion is quite understood. We got it. It's been moved improperly. Second, any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
if I may. We had the opportunity earlier this week, President Nunez and I spoke, and the conversation wasn't about her. Here she was preparing to come and be considered. The conversation really was about FIU and its 3 years in a row being #1 in performance funding and preeminent, and her concern that it doesn't get the visibility it should get within our system. And I was really impressed by that advocacy because, as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me that she was right. I mean, we talk about a lot of our universities, and a lot of times it's easy to forget the gems that we have in our system. And FIU is not just a great university. It is a nationally, internationally well-respected university that has led our system. And so I hope the fact that her first act in talking to me as a potential president was to talk about how to elevate FIU that way, I think speaks a lot of her integrity and what her intentions are at FIU. So I've really been excited about voting for you, and I'm glad the opportunity is here.
I just have one comment, Chair, right here. Kim.
Yes.
So this is not about Interim President Nunez. This is about what has been happening in the state over the past few years. And I hope that we can look forward to building on our existing regulations and processes so that the concerns that we are hearing become lessened. And I enthusiastically support Interim President Nunez, and I have heard all the great things that you shared from my colleague. So I just want to say that it's applicable to all, but I'll only say it this once.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion unanimously carries. Congratulations. Okay, I'm going to keep us, that's fantastic. I'm going to keep us moving along. I'm actually going to come to the confirmation of FAMU President-elect Marva Johnson. Next up, you guys are having fun. Next up, I will hand the floor over to Chair Harper. Okay.
Thank you, Chair Lamb, and good afternoon. Presentation of the President-elect was delegated to Board Vice Chair and Chair of the Presidential Search Committee, Trustee Devron Gibbons. I want to thank Trustee Gibbons, who, to my surprise, rearranged his schedule to be here today. So on behalf of Florida A&M University Board of Trustees, Trustee Gibbons will present President-elect Marva Johnson, JD, to the Board of Governors.
Okay. All right. I'll shift to Trustee Gibbons.
Good afternoon, Chair Lamb, Governors. It is with great pleasure that on behalf of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University Board of Trustees, it is my honor to formally present President-elect Marva Johnson, JD, to the Board of Governors for confirmation as the 13th President of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Following this rigorous selection process conducted by the Florida A&M Board of Trustees, the decision to nominate Ms. Johnson aligns with the institution's vision, mission to boldly strike and elevate our academic and research enterprise. I am pleased to convey our collective confidence in Ms. Johnson's capabilities to lead our institution into the next phase of academic success. And I'd like to stop right here and thank Governor Levine for serving on our committee, our Presidential Search Committee, as he helped us guide us through this process in a very, very, very good way. I believe the dedicated 15-member search committee reflected our commitment to identifying candidates who possess the requisite qualities to advance Florida A&M University's objectives. Through a comprehensive review of more than 60 applicants and interviews with the numerous numerous excellent candidates, Ms. Johnson emerged as one of the 4 outstanding finalists recommended by the search committee.
Yeah,
Ms.
hold on a second. Now, we're not going to have that. So I appreciate everyone's sentiment and emotion, but this is the Board of Governors. We're going to have decorum, and I please ask that we yield the floor to Trustee Gibbons to finish his conversation. Trustee Gibbons, the floor is yours.
Ms. Johnson possesses extensive experience overseeing state government affairs, regulatory, state legislative matters, and strategic partnerships and strategies for government and community initiatives across 9 southern states. Appointed to the Florida State Board of Education in 2014, she was elected chair in 2015 and served in the capacity for 4 years. During her tenure, she championed policies aimed at improving educational outcomes for all students. She played a vital role in implementing performance-based funding measures to encourage the state colleges to improve the student success metrics, including graduation rates. Johnson also worked to enhance accountability across the state's colleges, always with a focus on closing achievement gaps and ensuring that all students had access to high-quality, low-cost education options. I request that the Board of Governors consider and confirm Ms. Marva Johnson, JD, as the 13th president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University at its June 18th meeting today in accordance with the Board of Governors Regulation 1.0015C and pursuant to the requirements outlined in the Board of Governors Regulations 1.002. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Governors.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, thank you for your opening comments. As customary, I will now move to President-elect Johnson. The floor, Marva Johnson, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Chair Lamb, Chancellor Rodriguez, distinguished governors, presidents, board members, and Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to bring my remarks this afternoon. It is a profound honor to be considered for confirmation as the 13th president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. I want to express my deep gratitude for the FAMU Presidential Search Committee and to the FAMU Board of Trustees for your confidence in me. I would also like to acknowledge Chair Harper. Her unwavering dedication and to protecting FAMU's mission and its legacy has been a constant source of focus and commitment throughout this process. So thank you. I look forward to working with Chair Harper and the Keepers of the Flame to make sure that FAMU is always treated with equity and fairness, and that we advance opportunities for our students and for our communities. I would also like to recognize the Vice Chair of our Board of Trustees, Devron Gibbons, for leading the Presidential Search Committee with a bold vision. FAMU's Board of Trustees has made its expectations very clear. I'm committed to leading this university to forging new paths for excellence and preeminence and to protect and advance FAMU's legacy. And while I am deeply honored by this profound opportunity, I know that honor alone is not enough. This moment is not about me. It is about FAMU. It is about the generations of rattlers who built this university brick by brick, protest by protest, victory by hard-fought victory. As a member and chair of Florida's State Board of Education, I helped shape policy for our K-12 system and the state's #1 ranked Grade 28 state college system. We implemented programs that resulted in improved student outcomes, enhanced affordability, and strengthened workforce readiness. Now, I'll use this experience with the Board of Governors, FAMU's Board of Trustees, and the FAMU leadership team to work from a place where I can have a deeper impact, working with students on the campus and within an extraordinary Rattler community. I want to acknowledge the significance of this moment and the responsibility that I will carry to preserve the legacy while carving a path forward for this institution. I didn't graduate from FAMU, but I am a proud beneficiary of the excellence with caring that defines this institution. I was raised in Tampa by an exceptionally hardworking mother who worked 2 jobs and didn't have the opportunity to attend college. However, I was fortunate to be mentored by a proud FAMU alumna who instilled in me the values of grace, grit, and intellectual curiosity. She lit a fire in me and helped me to see how education could open doors for opportunity. By introducing me to the power of FAMU at a very young age, she helped me on my mobility journey on my journey to social mobility, and she helped me develop a passion for the power of education, which is what has led me to why I am here today. One of the most profound moments in my adult life was walking into an office building where I was the highest ranking leader and realizing that it was the same office building that decades before I had helped my mother clean during her part-time job. I know that there are many others in this room, in the state, and in our country who have similar stories to share about how FAMU's promise of social mobility has transformed their lives and led them to exceptional outcomes. FAMU sits at the intersection of access and aspiration. We open doors, we equip students to walk through them with confidence. To lead Florida A&M University is to inherit a legacy born of courage, built by visionaries, and sustained by generations who refused to accept less. When FAMU opened its doors on October 3rd in 1887, it began not with grandeur, but with grit. Just 2 professors and 15 determined students who gathered on the highest of the 7 hills in Tallahassee with one radical belief. And that was that Black students in a post-Reconstruction Southern state deserved not only access to education, but the opportunity to define their own destiny. From its humble origins, a national institution was born. To lead FAMU is to step into glory shaped by giants, leaders whose legacies defined years of and whose legacy has defined this institution for years and has elevated this institution to the public reputation it holds today. Leaders like Dr. Frederick S. Humphreys, whose fierce advocacy and bold vision expanded FAMU's national profile. President James Ammons, who's led the university to significant periods of growth and helped us to expand our student population well beyond the 8,000 student mark. President Larry Robinson, whose leadership steered the university into the top 100 public universities in the United States, and Interim President Timothy Beard, whose calm presence brought us great credibility during a really tough transition. Today, Florida A&M stands as the #1 public HBCU, the 81st best public university, and the 20th university for social mobility. To remain competitive in a rapidly changing higher education landscape, we must adapt strategically, align smartly, and lead boldly without ever compromising the mission on which we were founded in 1887. The FAMU we see today is not the FAMU of 30 years ago, and the pace of change is accelerating. Families are debating the value of a college degree. Universities are facing funding gaps. The job market is demanding and rapidly evolving. Higher education is increasingly competitive, and institutions are facing additional pressures related to the mental health and safety of our students. FAMU needs a leader who can actually navigate these challenges. And I'm ready to lead with boldness, discipline, and a deep commitment to a measurable impact, advancing FAMU's legacy and with a strategy that meets the demands of the future. FAMU plays an essential role in helping Florida's SUS remain #1 in the nation for higher education. As part of a coordinated system of institutions, I'm committed to accelerating FAMU's boards, boldly striking 2022 to 2027 strategic plan, and bringing that link through from 2027 to the SUS 30. In our ongoing pursuit of excellence in caring, we are committed to rigorously evaluating and surpassing our performance metrics. Thanks to FAMU leaders, including Provost Allison Watson, Dean Cecil Howard, and Dean Shannon Wright-Smith, FAMU has already implemented targeted interventions to improve first-time passage rates in critical licensure areas such as nursing, law, physical therapy, and pharmacy. You heard earlier some of our significant progress in these programs. In addition to this, FAMU scored 83 in the performance-based funding metrics, which you have heard is the highest score we've received since the model was implemented. These are strong signs of momentum. And like many FAMU students, I could not take college graduation for granted. Despite being the third child born in my family, I was the first to graduate and finish college. My mother worried that affording college would not be something we could manage. And she encouraged me to finish early. And I didn't finish early. I finished in 4 years, but I turned a 4-year internship into a full-time job. I share my story not because I think it's unique. I actually think it's the story of many of our Rattlers. For the 63% of our students who receive Pell Grants, a degree must be a ticket to an opportunity. Today's graduates need more than a diploma. They need digital fluency, adaptability, and a strong professional network the day they cross the stage. We must prioritize our efforts to provide our students with access to opportunities. We must aggressively align our academic programs with the workforce demands. For example, I'm deeply committed to protecting and advancing FAMU's health sciences curricula and our College of Agriculture and Sciences Institute of Public Health. We must expand our relationships with the business community, strengthen our partnerships with entrepreneurs, and host our community and state leaders on our campus so that they can understand why it's important to invest in our HBCUs and they can be committed to our success going forward. We continue our quest for excellence. We must reduce our reliance on government funding and we must diversify our funding sources. Under my leadership, I don't expect FAMU to just survive. I expect it to thrive. We all know that student success is not possible without our faculty and staff. They are the lifeline of our university. My job as president is to remove barriers, to build resources, and to build coalitions that will help support our faculty's success. I'm looking forward to partnering with faculty like Trustee Brown and other staff leaders to advance the strategic priorities set forth in the Rattler Employee 10. And many of you may know that FAMU is a Carnegie R2 high research institution. What you may not know is that we recently were recognized as one of the few institutions nationwide who's earned both the Carnegie Research 2 designation and the Opportunity College University recognition. We already lead in critical disciplines, including agriculture, pharmaceutical sciences, and nursing. So we must ask, why not FAMU as a top research institution. And why not now? To do so, we have to meet the needs of those industries. Achieving R1 status represents the next chapter in FAMU's evolution as a national leader in education, innovation, and impact. And today, I pledge that as part of my administration, I will deliver on our strategic goal to reach R1 status. We'll expand partnerships, commercialize research, and re-engage and retain PhD talent to build a pipeline for our future. And as I step into this role, I recognize the legacy that I carry. I remain deeply committed to ensuring that the legacy of the university is not lost. To the Rattler community, students, faculty, alumni, stakeholders, I am listening, and I hear your hopes, and I hear your dreams, and I hear your concerns. And my door will always be open. And I'm looking forward to full engagement on campus and in our communities. Together, we can chart a unified path to elevate student success and faculty excellence, expand our research capacity towards R1 status, innovate our curriculum to meet the demands of this changing workforce, diversify and strengthen our revenue streams, and amplify FAMU's brand on a global stage. My mission is clear. It's to protect this sacred institution, to uplift its legacy, and to fight for a future that is as bold as its founding. This is a new era, not for retreat, but for bold leadership and advancement. This moment is not about dismantling, it is about building, it is about advancing excellence, and together we can take FAMU to a top 50 public university in America, and I would ask that you entrust me with this phenomenal opportunity.
Chair-elect, President-elect, thank you. It was fantastic. I'm going to customarily go to a BOG member that was on the search committee. I will go to Governor Levine, and then I'll quickly open it up to the BOG for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to just make 3 observations, one as to history, one as to the process, and one as to the candidate herself. First of all, just back in 2015, FAMU sat in front of this board, the then president, and put forth a plan that got her students to a 6-year graduation rate of 39%. That was the goal, to get to a 39% 6-year graduation rate. The students were leaving FAMU without a degree. 60% of the students were leaving FAMU without a degree and with the most debt of any of our universities. What was happening at FAMU was a tragic failure for those students. This board said no. We said no, we're not going down that path. We made changes on the board. That board terminated the president, and we brought in Larry Robinson. And we set standards for FAMU. Not because we don't care about FAMU, but quite the opposite. Because the people in this room really do care about FAMU. And today, it's a top 100 public university. You just heard all the other accolades. No, one person, I'm sorry, Dr. Beard, but one person didn't do that. This Board of Governors, the Board of Trustees, the leadership, the faculty locked arms with the students. And today, FAMU is where it is. And we make no apologies for holding our universities to high standards, and we want to hear from the presidents that they want to do the same thing. So the history here is real. The history is riddled with facts, and we don't need to rewrite that history because we all know what it is. Number 2, the process. I attended every one of these meetings. I observed them. There was a very, very interactive search committee. There was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, a series of votes, and 4 highly qualified people emerged from that search committee process. Unfortunately, there were leaks. People violated our regulation and the law and were leaking names, including Marva Johnson's, to the press before the decision was even made. So one candidate out of the 4 all of a sudden had to endure what we observed here today, and it's been nonstop. And we saw in Marva a resilience and a spine to sit there and listen to every one of these speakers and engage with every single one of them. She never took her eyes off those speakers. And she just said, I heard you. I hear you. That's who this woman is. And she deserves this opportunity because she earned it. The Board of Trustees voted 8-4 for Ms. Johnson. That vote included the faculty rep and the student body president or the student rep on the Board of Trustees. So you sit here today after going through a very rigorous process and a very public, unfortunately, and I'm sorry for that, a very public and unfair series of allegations about you that were unfair and unnecessary. But you had the resilience to go through that process anyway, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to voting for you. Mr. Chair, I present a highly qualified and excellent candidate.
Thank you, Governor Levine. I'm going to open up quickly to the Board of Governors. Questions, comments?
Thank you,
Governor
Chair.
Shalom.
Thank you, Chair Lamb. I appreciate that. Look, I have over many years gotten to know President-elect Johnson in a variety of capacities. We've served on several boards together, and I have seen firsthand the level of commitment, passion, the grit, the willingness, frankly, to put in not just the time and the effort, but the personal political capital to do things that help the state move forward. On boards like Enterprise Florida, I saw how she made a difference for the state and put the state first over sometimes even maybe her own feelings about things. So I applaud what you've done historically, and I appreciate the passion that I heard also in your remarks. I personally believe there's no greater responsibility for a board of trustees or any board, whether it's public sector, private, education, than succession planning. And so with that, I will ask actually Chair Harper, are you still comfortable with both the process, and are you comfortable and the Board of Trustees with
shit.
selected for this role?
Thank you for that question, Governor Szilagyi. The board voted 8-4, and so the majority carried. And so representing the board, the majority carried, and that's why President-elect Johnson is here today. As it relates to the process, that was your other question. I do have concerns about the process, and I outlined that in the email that I sent to the Board of Governors yesterday. And that summarizes my concerns about the process.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Okay, I'm going to see if there are other comments or questions. Governor Serio.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say I also have served with Marva Johnson. We served on the Constitutional Revision Commission together. She's a person of very keen intellect. She's tough as nails, and she's a person of great integrity. And I'm pleased to see you here today. And I want to ask you my very repetitive question that I ask every president, but I think it's really, really important. And that is, and because every president has signed on to this document or affirmed their beliefs and the principles set forth in the document, have you reviewed the State University System Statement of Free Expression? And do you feel like you know, how do you feel about that document? Can you subscribe to the tenets expressed in it?
Thank you, Governor Serio. Yes, I have reviewed the state university's statement of freedom of expression, and I am happy to commit myself to the principles outlined therein. It's important. One of the principles I've managed my life under is that the truth unchallenged is stagnant, and we have to create an environment where we can bring differing opinions to the table and share an exchange that allows us each to gain a little more appreciation for the other's understanding, and to do so in an environment that is safe.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Maybe
Governor
I'll give a
Jones.
final comment here.
Sure,
So
sure.
I've known Marva Johnson personally for more than 15 years now, served with her in various public and private capacities, and she is tenacious and she is tough. And to see what she endured through the process and still sitting here and give remarks like she did today, being committed to the university and willing to take this job, coming from the private sector, having lots of opportunities in the private sector, but sacrificing that to be here, to be in public service, I think that's admirable and I think it's remarkable. And I'd like to move that we go ahead and vote on Marva Johnson's next president of FAMU.
We have one more. I'm sorry.
If I could just briefly echo that.
Absolutely, Governor Renner.
And just say, I also know Marva, and the word, this body and everything we do is moving toward excellence in every one of our institutions. And when I think of Marva, that's the word I think of. She expects the very best of herself and those under her leadership and demands excellence. And I would just say to those, and so I'm enthusiastically supporting her today, and to those that are opposing her, or have opposed her, I would just remind people about what happened about 10 years ago with the now late President John Thrasher, who had widespread opposition. But once he got in, many of those, most if not all of those people wound up being big advocates for John Thrasher and for the amazing things he did for FSU. And so I would just encourage those who have concerns, who voice concerns, to exercise grace and know that Marva Johnson's success is FAMU's success. We all want to see that success, and I know without a doubt she'll deliver it.
Well said. Thrasher's good man.
This is Governor Frost. I want to ditto all of that. I know Marva Johnson. I know of her in many ways. I think she's more than qualified. I think we're very lucky today that we are now looking at two fabulous candidates who could be leading both this university we're talking about now and Jeanette Nunez at FIU. I think we're sitting here where we have two candidates that we're all smiling about. So I would second also Ms. Johnson, and of course, you know how I felt about Jeanette Nunez. Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion on the floor originally actually by Governor Levine.
Okay, Governor Levine.
And then there was a second by Governor Jones. Very good comment. I'm going to pause if there's any further discussion. I have one question that I'd like to ask. I have been watching closely the last, call it 3 to 6 months, and there's been a pattern and a theme around what real or perceived concerns our beloved family has. And so as you think about your 90-day plan and your longer term plan, but particularly your first 30, 60, 90 days in office, my question for you is, can you commit to continue to listen to the voices that are sharing their sentiment, that are right with emotion for all the right reasons? There's a lot of history here that deserves recognition and shouldn't be forgotten. But my ask to you is you to commit to this board that you will continue to listen, you will do the very best that you can to take those ideas and voices and roll them into your broader plan to be the leader of the university. And so you can't close your door. The voices aren't going to go away. And I expect, and I'm asking that you can commit to continue to listen.
Chair Levine, I'm sorry, Chair Lamb, it is my absolute commitment to continue to listen. And in fact, my day -30 will start with listening tours in small groups. As you already demonstrated, Chair, it's important for me to start to make sure that the vision, the hopes, and the dreams of the FAMU community are reflected in our strategies, are reflected in how we commit our resources, and how we plan for the university's success. It is absolutely my honor to make that commitment.
My second question is Vice Chair Gibbons still in the room? Okay, can you come to the mic? I'm going to start with Chair Harper, and then I'm going to come to Vice Chair Gibbons. One of the most important things that a trustee board can do, if not the most important thing, is select a president. there has been widespread and well-known debate around the decorum of your board. You now have a candidate in front of the Board of Governors. Our job at the Board of Governors is to confirm. Your job is to manage the president. My ask first, Madam Chairman, if this board moves forward with this motion, do the Board of Governors have your commitment for you to do your best? You don't control everything, I understand it, for you to do your best to help set your next president up for success, help them with their 30, 60, 90-day plan, the fundamental things that we would expect the board to do to help the president be successful.
Absolutely. So throughout my corporate career, one of the things I've been known for is the excellence with which I implement onboarding and transitions. So this will be no different.
Excellent. Vice Chair Gibbons, one of the things that's most important in a vice chair role is to have a level of trust, respect, civil discourse and debate. Sometimes you won't always agree with your chair. Really? Now, my question to you, you've heard from the chair. I'm now asking the vice chair. Can you do your very best and commit to this Board of Governors that you will lead, have decorum, the right debate, lock arms with your chair and the rest of your board to set your next president up for success if we carry this motion?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed like sign. Did I hear someone? Okay. You don't get a vote. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Madam President. We have one more very important item. I'm quite honored actually to present.
Can we just come back to this one next time, Mr. Chairman?
Should we table
Could
this
we?
one? A rough crowd. Quite honored to have the next item on the agenda at University of West Florida. I'm going to hand the floor over to Chair Rebecca Matthews.
Okay. Oh, man. When they say voting matters, voting matters. I just want to say this. I really want to say this. It is just crazy to me that the University of Florida had a president from Michigan approved by the committee, approved by the trustees, and gets voted down by the Board of Governors. But on the opposite side of the token, you have a candidate that is disapproved by majority, who they backhand deal for the trustees, and gets a unanimous vote from the Board of Governors who's never been in higher education. Listen, I don't know what the world is coming to. Florida, anything below the Mason-Dixon line is just crazy work. And the fact of the matter, like all these white dudes is like, oh yeah, I've worked with Marva and she's a tenacity and she's none of them niggas will let her, none of them crackers will let her lead anything that they got at their company. If any of these members own companies, none of them will let her lead. She wouldn't be in no C-suite executive position, but she's good enough to run FAMU. I am, when I tell you, My mind is blown. My mind is blown. Like I'm flabbergasted. Flabbergasted. It is crazy. I'm gonna open the call lines up 518-263-8124, 518-263-8124.
You are
Whoever
the
wants to call
only
in.
participant in the conference. All participants are muted.
I feel for FAMU, man. I really do. I really do. I don't know where you go from here. I don't know where you take it. I don't know. I feel for them because it just tells you, like, even if you got a listen, I need you to understand, even if you would have got a qualified candidate, even if it was Donald Palm or the guy from UCF or any of these people, they would have gotten to the board of governors knowing that Marva was in discussion. They would have voted it down regardless. It is a sham job beyond a sham job. It's like, what is the part? Like, there is no such thing as a democracy. It is a thing of, when you get in power or when you get into positions of where you can manipulate the circumstances. I'm just confused, man. Like, when they talk about politics being like in your face every day, like, this is a just a slap in the face of just saying, like voting truly matters. Like, you can say whatever you want, because a lot of black people love to say they vote don't count, they don't do this, I don't know why we voting anyway, they just go. But at the end of the day, the ripple effects of not going out to vote, and then you look back at history on how hard we fought to get the right to vote, to change your city, to change your state, to change your local government, and then we still sit on our hands and say we don't have to, or it doesn't matter, or it's going to be what it is. And then the white people just continue to run wild and rampant through it all and still just maneuver and shake things up how they want. It's just crazy. I hate it. I really hate it for FAMU. 1793 coming to you. 1793, you live. Last four, 1793 coming to you. All right. JB coming to you.
Hey, Scotty, how you doing, sir?
What's up?
All right, man. So this vote here didn't surprise me. Okay, you spoke about University of Florida. Okay, last weekend I was actually down in Orlando with some friends of mine, and of course, both of them are UF alums. The one thing they told me about the UF selection of why that fell through, because they wanted to pick some, because actually this goes back to some previous presidents. I think it was, I forgot, it was like one of the senators from Nebraska, like Ben Sass, was a former president for them. Their research ratings dropped as a university. So they picked up the president from University of Michigan to come down to be their next president because of his fundraising capabilities and also because of Michigan's research capabilities as well. The issue that came up because of the university was down for it. The problem from their perspective was Michigan and their president was also behind a lot of the DEI policies that was taking place in the previous administration. One of the Trump kids, I forgot which one it was, said something about it. The Board of Governors, that decision that they made to give them was not about qualifications. It was about political retribution for DEI selection that they're doing at Michigan. I believe Indiana University is doing something similar with their boards of trustees. Bishop sent me something a few days ago, basically, I guess, like how some of these states are like stacking the deck in terms of like loading their people in for their lackeys, like for these presidents and stuff like that. For the Marva Johnson pick, the board was going to approve her because that was their person. The UF situation, more than qualified, wasn't picked because of petty politics. And that's unfortunately, that's the case. Now, and of course, I asked them like what their next game plan was going to see. They were in uncharted territories because they haven't been in this situation before. So now they're trying to see, so, okay, so how are we going to fight this? Are they going to go ahead and try to push through anyway? And then also people from both sides of the political spectrum in that state legislature are UF graduates. So they're all trying to see how they're all going to play this out. But they've been very, very quiet about this too. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been hearing in terms of like what that situation is.
Appreciate the call, JB, man, as always, Brody.
Thank you.
All right, man. Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. Them UF alums on this board of governors, I know they getting hell from alums. You can't tell me they not, because there's some powerful alums at UF. And I don't, you know, they got some money, they some movers and some shakers. You can't tell me that they ain't raising hell. I'm going to come back to you, 1793. They calling you live. All right. Well, try it. It's sad, man. I'm going to say this. No matter what it is, no matter how you feel about it, no matter what the circumstances, I told all of you guys, and go back and watch the clips. As soon as you let Harambe in the building and you took that check, no matter Kristen Harper was up there, Donald Pond, all them Bama, Alice, and all them Bamas was there smiling and cheesing and grinning. And I told you, once you let white people in your business, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So as much as, again, voting matters. Yes, I'm gonna say it to the hills. I'm gonna say it to the hills. Shout out to Roland for being in the chat. Appreciate you, Ro. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say it to the hills. Voting matters. But again, if you do your due diligence in the beginning, this never is an issue. This is not, we're not even going down this path. If you do your due diligence, if you do your due diligence in receiving gifts, in understanding stocks, in understanding and doing some basic research, just basic research. Basic. I got on the stream, and in 30 minutes, I told you it was fake. In 30 minutes, I told you it was fake. Hold on. I got a text message real quick. So, let me read this. Allegedly, somebody texted me this. I've been told that the provost believes Gibbons planted the fundraiser guy from the beginning, allegedly. So I'm just giving you that. But again, planted or not planted, it doesn't matter. If you simply do your research and you have done your due diligence, FAMU is not in this circumstance. It's not. So again, voting matters. Again, doing whatever you can. But when you gotta handle your business the right way. You just have to. And again, I keep telling people this, and this is the stuff that be killing me with HBCUs, right? I say this all the time when it comes to HBCUs. I'm like, you can't have people stealing $100 when you're making 1,000, right? Because people are like, oh, Scotty, white schools do it all the time. Yeah, when they're bringing in $30 million and you got somebody stealing a meal, that ain't gonna hurt you. But if you're making 1,000 and you got Bama stealing 100, you're gonna feel it. You're going to feel it. So my thing is this: you have to do better with what you have and how you're doing it. Your P's and Q's, your processes, your day, your in and outs, your understanding of authority, your top, your bottom, no diddy. I mean, you gotta figure all your communication. It all has to be on point. It can't be we flying by the hip, or we do it like this and they do it like this. It has to be structured across the board so that there is no leakage, that there is no slip. There's enough checks and balances that before it gets to the top guy, that you find the problem within the problem. But it's too many. Again, if you have just done the research and the due diligence, you're not even in this circumstance. Now you're in the circumstance, and now you see how much voting matters. 3912 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Captain, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Good, good. Can't complain. Thanks for having me. I'm glad you're talking about voting matters because if you remember with DeSantis, as he was running for president of the United States, he wrote a bill himself to remain governor of Florida if he was to suspend his election.
That's
And
crazy.
Florida state or house, I don't know which one, passed the bill. So yeah, voting matters. And it goes back to even when he ran against Andrew Gillum. The reason why I think Andrew Gillum lost was because Andrew Gillum didn't tap into the rural areas of Florida. He was on this campaign trail about, his life, about his upbringing. But let's be honest, rural America does not care about a black man and his upbringing in that manner in which Andrew Gillum was presenting. And so, nonetheless, Governor DeSantis has won. And as you know, his wife is contemplating running and so forth and so on. So I'm glad you're hitting it right on the nail that voting matters. I think us as young people have to take this more seriously because if Governor DeSantis is not the governor of Florida, FAMU will not be in this situation. FIU, West Florida, New College, they would not be in this situation. So we really have to focus on the local level, the state level, and even the national level about voting because FAMU is in big trouble. I came from HBCU. My mother-in-law went to FAM. My niece went to FAM. Tons of classmates. I mean, I'm in South Florida. Everywhere I turn around, there's a FAMU license plate. So the FAMU nation is real, just as big as the UF nation is real down here in Florida. But again, as you said, election has consequences, and this is the result of it because we voted a governor, a racist governor, and this is the result. We have a governor who was even hunting down the individuals who were investigating his wife taking state funds and donating it to her charity. So this goes back to the vote and DeSantis. So we as young people who's watching this live, we got to start getting involved in local politics and state politics and national politics because if not, as African Americans, as non-African Americans who are not white, our future are in jeopardy, our children's future are in jeopardy, and our children's future are in jeopardy. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the call. Let me say this before I get to the caller. 4983. I'm gonna come to you real quick, but let me. I want to say this, man. This is the stuff. This is the stuff I can't stand from black people, right? Like, it's one of those. It's like when your parent, it's like you get in trouble at school, right? And then you be like, well, Johnny was doing it. Like, I ain't Johnny's parent, right? This is the stuff that like this is the stuff that I can't stand from black people. If he's saying if I don't go crazy and lead the drum about getting somebody fired, bro, let me explain how dumb shit sounds. It wasn't me that told you to accept a fake gift. It wasn't me to tell you to put it on a national media platform. It wasn't me that told you, hey, we got this guy. It was not me who did that. I didn't do that. It was not me. I wasn't the only person that was talking about a fake gift. It wasn't just me. But now, if you're not beating the drum, Scott, bro, if you don't let the 237 in the fucking building, you're not even here. You're not even here. But yet, how are you talking about me? The only reason I could talk about 237 is because y'all let the 237 in the building. But how is it me? I wasn't the gift giver. I wasn't the gift acceptor. I didn't tell President Larry Robinson to accept the gift. I didn't have President Robinson up there with the guy with the fake boots, smiling and grinning and cheesing, saying this is the biggest gift an HBCU has ever received, and putting it on blast everywhere, having the guy give a commencement speech. That was not me, dumbass. That was FAMU. But how is it me beating the drum has led you here? No, sir. For you, I won't say FAMU people because FAMU people are pretty smart. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you about. That's some dumbass shit you just said, flat out. 4983 coming to you.
What's going on, Scotty?
What's up, man?
Let me first say, I appreciate you for saying what you just said, because literally I was going to go to that same point, because you got people in the comments right now still drinking that same Kool-Aid about Andrew Gillum. Like, again, and I work in politics, so I don't want to get too granular, but like literally, if you look at how they even played out her salary, right? They had it in a system where even where the foundation said they were not going to pay her salary, because they couldn't afford it, because we can't afford to pay how much of a salary, they put it in the budget at the smallest part of the details in the bill language to change the actual operating system of the FAMU operating budget so that they could pull funds from other places in the university's budget to pay her salary. Again, this is all a system that we as Black people do not understand. We don't play a part in. So again, yes, voting matters, but you have to vote everything. Because again, even let's get past 237. Even if we needed a new president because of Robinson retiring, dying, whatever, we did not have the right infrastructure in place to secure a good president, no matter what the situation was going to be. And again, because we don't think about these things, because we don't think about the fact that, again, we have to play the game that is the cards that are played in our game, we are losing all these other elections. And we are losing things that matter, because again, half the people on that board of governors are former speakers of the House, or former Senate presidents, or former state senators, or former county commissioners. Again, they're all playing in this game, but we don't do it because we in the comments drinking this dumbass Kool-Aid about Andrew and doing some damn coke. Half of y'all favorite elected officials are doing coke. Half of y'all favorite elected officials are having orgies. Look at the people down in South Florida that got caught in a threesome and still on the school board. So again, we can't allow these rumors and these stupid things that are being said to get into our way. Because again, this is not just FAMU, this is not just Black people. Everybody doing it. Andrew was the most qualified governor candidate we've had on the Democratic ticket in the last 25 years. But again, everybody else know what's up. Everybody else know what's better. We need to wait till we find the perfect candidate when we all turn 75, and we're going to be in the same Kool-Aid, drinking the same stuff, doing the same cycle. Appreciate your time, Scotty.
Man, appreciate the call, Brody. Thank you so much. 8572 coming to you. 8572, you live.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, man?
What's up, Scotty?
What's goody?
Hey, man, listen. Your last caller, he basically said it. I mean, I don't, I'm not going to, DeSantis wants control. I don't know if the people in Florida understand. He wants control over all that stuff. If you ever listen to him talk about education, about getting rid of wokeness, Black history, the man is a narcissist. And the crazy thing about it, though, I don't think most people know that the dude got like a history degree. So he know history, but he wants control. And you said it when that thing came up about that check. When you let these people into your business, it's gonna be hard to get them out.
Thank you.
And I just hope people realize is that, man, we as African Americans, we can't allow other people to get in our business. And I'm gonna always do what my uncle always told me. Make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. We gotta do that. We gotta stop putting blame. And that thing about that money though, that's what really got me, man. About how they put in her contract to get that kind of money. And where does man, DeSantis is a control freak. All people know you got to get out and vote. You may not like the candidate, but you don't want certain candidates in because when you allow them to get in, they take full control. I'm out, Scotty.
Man, appreciate it, brother. I listen, I don't know who have been the candidate. I'm not from Florida. I don't plan to ever live in Florida. That is just not a state I I'm not a fan of Florida. I'm not. Like, I get it. I'm not a fan. Visit, go home. But, you know, I don't know what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do not know what it looks like. And from what I've been told is like, you know, Florida has these laws where you can't have a third party rally people together. It is just crazy. It is simply crazy to me that the stuff that passes and gets pushed through in the state of Florida and others in other states, in other red states and stuff like that. I don't. It's sad, man. It really is, and to see it, I think it's like when you know it, when you know it's going on, but you don't see it. It's kind of like maybe. But when they put it in your face, when they blatantly put it in your face that somebody as unqualified as Marva Johnson could have a unanimous vote to be a president of a university, but a man who had been a president university and was going to UF was voted down against because of his politic beliefs and not because he was not qualified for the position. That is asinine to me. Asinine. I don't understand it. I truly don't. I feel for FAMU. I pray that everything works its way out. I pray that she listens to y'all. But God damn, that is just this is crazy to me. This is crazy. I don't know what else to say. And you know, politics is really my lane. So I appreciate everybody calling in and giving their kudos. And listen, if you're a civics major, please, you know, whenever I do another show about this or something like that, you know, talk about it. But whew, that was tough, man. I ain't gonna hide. That was hard. That was hard to watch. But listen, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. He said, yeah, if they did that to UF, you know we done for it. Yeah, you ain't got no chance in hell. Listen, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. God bless.